give a warm welcome to the hosts of The Bride of Alternate Ending.
Hello, ghouls and goblins. You've been to the dentist 1,000 times, so you know the drill. This is Bride of Alternate Ending, the horror sideshow of the Alternate Ending podcast network. I did not prepare an opening for this one. I have cribbed a line from an Owl City song that I like to make some dentist puns. But I promise the rest of this episode won't hurt a bit. I am your ghost, Brennan Klein. And with me, as always, is your co-ghost, Tim Brayton. Also, sorry, I'm interrupting your hello. I'm just getting over a cold, so I can't really do a voice because I will destroy my throat. I don't want to do that at the beginning of the episode.
That's fair. That's fair. I do expect you to do a voice by the end of the episode once you can just go and like drink lemon water for the next 3 hours or
Great.
whatever.
Okay, yes, that'll be the plan, and I will task you with reminding me because I'm sure you'll remember, and that's great. But yes, how are you doing today, Tim?
I'm doing well. I am not coming off of a cold. I have not had a cold. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I have not had a cold this cold season, so I have apparently transcended the mortal flesh.
As we knew you
There we
would.
go.
You are more cinema than man at this point.
Indeed.
But yes, we have gathered here today, the first Bride of Alternate Ending episode of 2026, to discuss a follow-up to a movie we covered in 2025. This is our annual tradition in January. We normally put a poll up on the Patreon, but we had very few movies that were franchisee this year, so we just put our thumbs on the scale, and we're talking about 1998's The Dentist 2. Brace yourself.
Which I'm unclear when exactly that subtitle attached itself to The Dentist 2, but I think it's a good one. I regret that it was not actually on the print I watched.
Yes, it wasn't on the print, and it seems like more places are just leaning Dentist 2 than Brace Yourself as the official title, and that is upsetting.
I assume that Brace Yourself was added for a home video release of some kind.
That does make sense. I've definitely seen it on the DVD release.
It is the live, die, repeat of the Dentist universe.
Yeah, I suppose so. And I mean, an issue we brought up when we talked about the first movie, dentists don't do braces, but it's still such a good title.
It's a really good title.
But anyway, yes, you may recall we talked about the original The Dentist in our pre-Scream 1990s slasher theme quarter. That was a movie that I liked quite a bit. I was shocked by it. I think that was my favorite of the three that we watched. Dr. Giggles was a close second, and then Popcorn was also there. You liked The Dentist less than me, but what was your vibe with that?
I liked it more than I expected to. I did not like it more than Dr. Giggles. Dr. Giggles was for me the real, like, holy crap, this is so much better than it ought to be. I think we agree that Popcorn came in third place, even though I think we kind of both felt we were most excited for Popcorn.
Yeah.
Which just goes to show never have hope, never have optimism. But
well, no, I think we did not have hope for The Dentist or Dr. Giggles, and both were quite good in ways we weren't expecting.
That's true. And I will say, so The Dentist is a movie that I think mostly, I'm trying to remember my exact response to it. I think mostly I just didn't find it as unnerving as you did because I don't have a fear of dentists.
Yeah, you lack an amygdala. You have no fear response.
I get off on the idea of having a dentist just poking holes in my teeth.
Well,
in fact,
congratulations.
I need to take 2 minutes so you can take over the episode for right now.
Okay, sounds good. But yeah, no, The Dentist is the rare early to mid 90s, like it is the rare pre-Scream 90s slasher to have actually spawned a franchise.
Mm-hmm.
The only
franchise in quotes.
Yeah, well, to spawn a sequel even, like the one proper franchise that we've gotten, I would say, is Leprechaun, and that's really stretching the use of the term proper.
Yes,
but I guess I mean robust. And then I guess you have Candyman, but that lives outside the slasher.
Calling Candyman a pre-Scream slasher feels like you're doing a huge disservice to Candyman.
Yeah, so it's really Leprechaun and this is what I'm
pretty much
coming up with here. Because you never got sequels to Dr. Giggles or Uncle Sam or The Ice Cream Man or all the things that are trying to introduce these new kind of iconic type killers.
There is... Actually, no, I take it back because I was going to say there's a Jack Frost 2, but that's a post-Scream slasher film.
The original Jack Frost is?
The original Jack Frost, I believe, is from 97.
Oh, yeah. That does feel. I mean, it's goofy, but it does still feel like not like a post Scream slasher. So,
Well, I assume it's a film that was released post Scream, but was in production pre Scream, or at least pre Scream's release.
yeah. Anyway, I guess that sort of counts. I'd lump that in the same area. But yeah, no, the 90s are pretty anemic for this. So the fact that we had a sequel to one of these movies was exciting to me. Mm-hmm. Let's dive into the plot before we talk about how we felt about it. You saw it more recently, so would you mind guiding us through the twisted labyrinth of The Dentist 2?
I will happily. We can do this quickly. Do you remember the plot of The Dentist?
I sure do.
Then we are done talking about the plot of The Dentist 2. That's not true.
Yeah, I don't know
I'll
if
give
I
an actual
totally
plot
agree
summary.
with that.
So basically, if you recall, at the end of The Dentist 1, Dr. Alan Feinstone, played by Corbin Burnson, was a dentist who went crazy because of his sexual jealousy of his wife, killed a lot of people, committed terrible physical trauma on her, ended up in a sanitarium, which this film has ended in a way that is not fully compatible with the end of that film, but because that film ended with one of those "it's not over yet" twists, it kind of had to gently usher that out of continuity. That's been something slasher movies, of course, have been doing since Friday the 13th. So the doctor is currently in an insane asylum, just pretending that he is getting well, generally tricking the staff of the asylum into thinking that he might be getting better. He, in fact, uses this as a way to escape the asylum and flees to a small town in Missouri named Paradise, which I will say I think the film uses just exactly the correct amount of irony out of the name Paradise. It's there, but it's not like leaning on it too much. So he takes over the identity of a certain Dr. Lawrence Kane, which I think is a very good name for a fake dentist. Mm. And sets up a dental practice there. The town has no dentist. And
well, he kills the dentist.
He kills the dentist. Yeah. He kills the dentist that is there. And so he sets up shop. Everything's going well. He meets a pleasant young woman named Jamie and kind of falls in love with her. But she's kind of got this friend who's been flirting with her. It's pretty clear to everyone in the world that Jamie and this friend, whose name I have drawn a blank on, is it Robert?
Is it Robbie? I think it's Robbie.
It's Robbie. Clearly, Robbie is not going to ever get anywhere with Jamie, but because, as we already know, Dr. Feinstone is an insane, sexually jealous person, he overreacts to seeing the two of them flirting and goes on another killing spree, and that happens.
Yeah, I guess you're right. It's kind of the same movie as The Dentist, but with a different, slightly more complicated setup.
That's fair.
It takes its time to get us to the point where The Dentist begins.
Yes. That's actually one of the things that really stood out to me is, and it became amplified when I was reading the Wikipedia plot summary, which is criticized by the Wikipedia editors as being overly detailed. It spends about a paragraph and a half on the first half of the movie, and it spends like 12 paragraphs on the second half of the movie.
That's so funny. Well, I don't know. I honestly feel like I could take one paragraph for the whole movie. It's a pretty simple concept.
I think we just did. But I do think it's a movie that it feels like it's most of the way over, or at least like halfway over, before it has in any meaningful sense narrative drive. Like it really is just kind of languidly setting up pieces to me.
Yeah, and it basically, instead of being, I mean, okay, so let's talk about the crew a little bit. Brian Yuzna is back. He's the director of the first one, also the director of Society, and a lot of other 90s horror movies that are slightly better than they have to be, like Silent Night, Deadly Night 4, which is not a good movie, but is interesting.
It is the weirdest Silent Night, Deadly Night, and that counts for something.
Yes, very, very much. But yeah, so he's back. We got a lot of other people back. I think Alan Howarth did the score for the first one as well. And if he didn't, the score he did for this one sounds the exact same as the first one. So, and we got a lot of other people. So it's a lot of the same ingredients, except they're all just kind of mixing up a slightly different tasting version of the first one, because this one has a lot more elements of like a Lifetime movie. And it's interesting because this sequel comes out post Scream.
It does,
but it has not a trace of irony to it. And I think it's taking after more of the 1990s like big budget Lifetime-y thriller vibe that was in theaters at the time. So we're talking about like The Hand That Rocks the Cradle and Single White Female and The Good Son with Macaulay Culkin and those kinds of like amped up Lifetime thrillers. But with the incredibly Lifetime aspect of like, we're in this small town, this guy's got a fake identity and there's like a private eye on his tail, and like all those things feel very TV movie to me.
No, that is very fair. I would not have clocked that, but now that you said that, it does feel that is exactly the vibe this is playing in. And you know, I will say it is not only devoid of irony despite being a post-Scream slasher. I would go so far as to say that if the release of these two films had been swapped, I would have said that The Dentist was introducing a Scream-esque amount of irony into the irony-free Dentist 2. Like, it has in fact gone away from Scream relative to the first one, I think.
Sorry. I think I mixed up hearing that sentence. But you're saying like the original Dentist is more ironic than the first one.
The original Dentist feels more like an ironic post-Scream movie. This feels even less ironic than the original Dentist to me.
Yeah, you're right. In the original Dentist, it's not as goofy. Like Dr. Giggles is giving more what you expect the dentist to do, but the dentist does lean in more on dentistry puns and various ways you can kill with dental implements in ways that do feel ironic or at least amped up and more campy.
Yep. And I'd also say, and this is a different thing, and we'll get here, I'm sure. The first Dentist, and this is not post-Scream irony, the first Dentist draws, I think, as we talked about, on society and feeling a little satiric and a little bit about like the entitlement of this male lead, and it feels like the sequel is less that.
It is very much less that. I feel like this sequel doesn't really understand, and this is so embarrassing to even say this, but it doesn't really understand the character of the dentist.
It's true though. I get why you think it's embarrassing, but it's an accurate thing.
Yeah, it kind of feels like a sequel to a different movie, or at least a movie about a different character that had the same shape.
Right, because like the first movie is very much about the kind of person that the dentist is and how his like feelings of sexual betrayal push him over the edge and into this like very weird psychological state, and it's very much again about this post-society style. Being rich fundamentally warps your morality in a way that you cannot survive as a human. The sequel seems to be, his gimmick is that he gets jealous of people in the same way that Jason Voorhees' gimmick is that he wears a hockey mask.
Yeah, it's that, and it's also like a lot of the first part of this movie is him resisting the urge to kill, which, let me just say, cut it out. We don't need that. It's a slasher movie. We don't ask why Jason's murdering people. We don't need to ask why the dentist is murdering people. I don't care.
No, I don't either, although I did like the opening where it's unclear if he's doing that as a show for the doctors at the asylum or if he's really sincerely starting to get better. And it is revealed to be a show because there's a great sequence where he removes, is it a scalpel?
It's some sort of sharp medical instrument.
It's some sort of sharp medical instrument that he removes from its hiding place in his body.
Yeah, it is inside a stitched up wound on his arm, I think. It's
yes.
very
I
gross.
couldn't remember if it was his arm or his thigh, but yes, it's disgusting as hell. And it's great. And so I liked the fake out there.
Yes. And I gotta say, I really like Bernson's performance in this movie. I think he's really, really good at this. This guy held together with spit and wishes, who is just seconds away from snapping and killing somebody and really trying not to, and just kind of like freaking out in the shower and screaming at himself and like all that stuff he really commits to. It's really exciting, but that's not really the character that the dentist is.
It's not.
And they also seem to think that he is tempted to kill by the mere act of dentistry, and that is just not what the first movie was doing.
No, the first movie implies that he is a good dentist when he's not having a psychotic break.
Yeah. And I feel like the character from the first movie, having escaped an asylum, would immediately set up a new dental practice because he believes in the cleansing and purification of teeth.
Which was something that was not in this movie, really. The whole thing where, like, he is purity obsessed, and he kind of goes a little crazy when he believes, because the whole thing, it's not just sexual jealousy, it's that he is disgusted at the thought of his wife's mouth having been contaminated with semen.
Yeah, it is about physical and moral decay, and this movie kind of is just about a crazy dentist.
Exactly.
And
you said something on your Letterboxd that I think is really telling. It is impressive that we are able to be disappointed that this film does not live up to that.
Yeah, no, we are very lucky to live in that world where The Dentist 2 isn't, where our reaction isn't just, oh, another shitty slasher movie just like the first one.
It reminds me very much of my response to Psycho 4: The Beginning, where I was astonished that it had been preceded by good enough movies that I could be let down by it.
Yeah, and you know, it's a beautiful thing in its way. But sitting through this movie, I just felt so much more bored than in the first Dentist. There's just so much less to it.
It's not as good. It's not as interesting. It's not as funny. I would still say The Dentist 2 is better than I expected The Dentist 1 to be before I watched either of them. Yes,
I do agree. And I think without being in the shadow of The Dentist, this movie's totally fine. Mm-hmm. It is exactly that. I gave it a 6 out of 10, which is I would watch this again if I had to, but am not excited about it.
You would be in a better position. No, and I'd say I'm in the same place. Like, I would not avoid watching this again, but unlike The Dentist 1, I don't think I'll ever seek it out.
Yeah.
But you'd be in a better position to comment on this than I am, I think. I feel like I don't have a knee-jerk anti-reaction to this being the claim that this is the best slasher movie of 1998.
Oh, well, okay, so Scream 2 was 97.
Right. I did look that up before I made that claim.
Yeah. I'm trying to think real quick of like
pretty sure that Urban Legends is 1998.
Oh, you're right.
I think I Still Know What You Did Last Summer might be 98, and this is self-evidently better than that.
I enjoy I Still Know What We Did Last Summer, but no, that movie is not great. Ooh, I mean, I would put Bride of Chucky up top. That is a 98 slasher. And
okay.
So is Halloween H2O. So
I would put this above Halloween H2O.
Wow. I would not. But I would say it's certainly in the top 5, maybe even the top 3 of 98.
And again, we're talking about 1990 slasher films, but I feel like 1998 is not a year that strikes icy fear into my heart the way that, say, 1994 would have.
No.
And again, that is that post-Scream thing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I like the post-Scream slasher wave. It was not so much a boom. There's fewer of those movies than you really think there are.
No, it's definitely correct.
Because I think it's spread out of the slasher very quickly into just kind of a Kevin Williamson-y vibe. Mm-hmm. So you're getting The Faculty, and you're getting what was the other movie that popped into my head? But you're getting like Disturbing Behavior, and a lot of things that feel slick and shiny like Scream, but aren't, or like the Miramax cycle.
Yes, the Miramax cycle. The ones that were pitched to sell an album.
Yes.
Of alt rock hits.
Or like Phantoms, which is that's part of the post Scream thing. But yeah, fewer slashers than you really think in the late 90s. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so it's still a pretty okay movie. I just cannot help being disappointed by it.
No, that's real.
But there are good points. I do think the dental gore is a little splashier than the first movie. It's used maybe less frequently, and I think it's less effective, but it's definitely grosser.
It's grosser. The very extreme close-up of a Novocaine needle being plunged into somebody's soft tissue, which they liked so much that they did it twice.
Yep.
That is an effect, because I I'm not afraid of dental stuff, but I am afraid of needles, and that's the one that got to me.
Okay. Yeah, and they're definitely trying to rub your face in it a little more in those moments. Take a little more time, maybe spend a little more money. A little more money.
I would say they spent more money on the gore and less money on everything else, is sort of the way I generally feel about the production here.
Yeah. Set design, boring. This was all shot
real boring. Which was a huge strength of the first Dentist, I think, was that it had a very distinctive approach to set design.
Yeah, oh yeah, and another thing that they dropped is that he had those themed operatory rooms.
They kind of have... There's opera music on the soundtrack, but it's not really called attention to as being opera music, so if you don't recognize it, I don't know that you would. But, so it's called Back To, but in a much too subtle way. I mean, this is not an art film, this is a slasher movie.
Yeah, exactly. And he is building like a special operatory upstairs, but in this time it's like completely white, and he's advertising it as like a complete dental experience or some sort of like dental isolation chamber more than a cool themed room. Just another way that his motivations and ideas are so different.
Yeah, and like the fact that he is building something does not feel like a plot driver. It feels like a very elaborate excuse to get a nail gun in the film.
Yes, which I would argue is not a necessary implement to have in The Dentist too.
It's tough because, like, I like the nail gun content that we get, but I fully agree any slasher movie could have had that nail gun content. But not every slasher movie could have had dental torture.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And this movie comes out 13 years after the Nail Gun Massacre. Like, we've done this.
Yeah, but I think having 2 nail gun movies... I mean, look how many movies have a machete.
Yeah. I'd welcome it. But yeah... there's also that construction area also allows him to threaten to drill a tooth with an actual power drill. Something they do not... They pull that punch really hard, and that's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
But at least they picked up that idea and looked at it a little bit. Another thing they did not spend as much money on is the supporting cast around Corbin Burnson.
Woof.
Yeah, there were 2 points in the credits where I hesitate to call both of them bright spots, but moments that made me interested in what those characters were going to be. The actual bright spot is Wendy Roby from Twin Peaks and The People Under the Stairs, who is completely wasted as the receptionist at the dentist office.
I believe she gets a total of 2 scenes. Does that sound correct?
I think she's just around.
Is she just like in the background of shots?
Yeah, basically. Or she'll be like, "Good morning, Dr. Kane," or whatever, and that's kind of it. She doesn't even die.
No.
It's outrageous. But the other actor in the cast that I was at least like, oh, that's something, is Clint Howard, who does show up for one Little Shop of Horrors-esque midnight dentistry moment.
Very Little Shop of Horrors-esque. I was glad that Clint Howard was in this movie. I was less glad when Clint Howard was on the screen hitting my eyeballs. I feel he was indulging himself a little bit as an actor, I think.
I think in the late 90s, he had every right to, as the champion of the ice cream man.
I mean, I'm not going to stand here and tell Clint Howard his business. I feel I needed him to be about 90% of where he was.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, is there a Clint Howard performance that's not kind of kooky overblown, though?
That's a real fair question. That's a real fair thing to bring up.
Yeah, I've seen, I think, more than anyone's share of Clint Howard movies, and his characters are always so kind of gross and over the top. And
that's very fair.
But anyway, yeah. So his scene was fine. One of the better scenes of tension in the movie.
It is probably the best scene of pure tension, although not certainly the best scene of like slasher movie grossness.
No, and he does not get killed in a dentist-y way. He does get killed with a needle, I believe, but just in the temple. Like, that's just it.
Yes, that's correct.
It's just, the movie just it just doesn't deliver as consistently as it very easily could have.
Something I wanted to ask. We have now seen 3 medical themed slasher movies in a very short span of time.
Uh-huh.
So they are blurring together slightly. Was The Dentist the movie that had the shot from inside a mouth with a giant prop tongue depressor?
There was a shot from inside a mouth, I believe, in both The Dentist and Dr. Giggles.
Okay.
And there was a giant tongue depressor in Dr. Giggles, but I don't know that it was in that shot.
Well, because there is the shot I'm thinking of used a giant tongue depressor not as like a goofy gimmick, but as a way of getting around the limitations of the lens.
Yeah.
And I remember the in a mouth looking through the teeth, which is why I was like, it could easily have been the dentist. But that's the kind of thing we're not getting either way. As you point out, we got that shot or a version of it in both of the films, and we aren't getting that level of like dental visual gimmickry, I guess, for want of a better word.
Yeah, they're just not really trying. They're kind of going through the motions, even though there's not really an established idea of what the motions of the Dentist movie even is.
Right. There's a shot middle late in the film. It's like where his killing spree really kind of bursts into life. Where we get a close up of him using the tooth grinder tool, I'm sure it has a real name, to like turn someone's tooth into pulp while he's dentally torturing her nerves.
Mm.
And when we had that shot, it really called my attention to this is the first time we're seeing like the inside of a tooth in this movie. Mm-hmm. And it feels like it shouldn't take that long for the dentist to get to that point.
No, it really shouldn't. But he's resisting doing anything for so long. Like I mean, it's kind of doing a Psycho 2 of this killer is trying to reform himself, even though he did murderously escape from the asylum as opposed to Norman Bates. But it thinks that it's a character study for quite a while, and I don't know why it would think that, especially because it gives into a much more shallow version of what the first one was.
That's very true. And I mean, I can't come up with a good explanation for it. The best I was able to come up with is, did they have a very fixed budget for blood effects? And rather than have crummy blood effects throughout the movie, they had good blood effects in half the movie. But that feels like an odd reason for it to have taken the form it does. I don't know. I cannot explain it.
Yeah. I will say, at the very least, we are getting Corbin Burnson doing his thing in the non-bloody scenes most of the time, and that can be satisfying. But yeah, the other characters are so nothing. Oh, and a very Lifetime-y thing. So basically everybody he knows just all works at the bank where he goes to get the deposit box of the person he is impersonating. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why these bank people are just his friends now. It's very peculiar, but one of the is she a secretary? Like one of the people who works in like the desk pool at the bank.
Yeah.
She answers phones.
I didn't clock what her job is.
Yeah. Anyway, but she is a friend of the woman Jamie, who he is kind of psychosexually obsessed with, and he's living in the bungalow in her backyard. And she's the Lifetime character who's like investigating the murders.
Right. Like, I mean, it almost was like, is she some sort of bank detective? Is that's what's going on here? Which doesn't square with any of the scenes before she starts investigating what's going on. But, yeah, she exists in the movie because someone needs to almost uncover his secret, perhaps even fully uncover his secret, but then make the foolish choice to confront him rather than go to the cops.
It's so dumb. They always do this in movies.
They always do this. And I assume you were going to comment on the acting skills of the individual in question, who I believe would have been Suzanne Wright.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to call her out by name. Everyone else other than Corbin Burnson and I guess Clint Howard, and like Wendy Roby's not bad. She's just being asked to do nothing, and she delivers that.
Since you are going to be diplomatic, I shall have to be the one then to say more like Suzanne Wrong.
Ooh, get her ass.
I mean, I'm sure she's a lovely person, beloved by her family and friends, but fuck off, that was a bad performance.
Ooh, it didn't strike me as any worse than the rest, but I was pretty checked out of this movie by the second act, basically.
That's fair. I found her to be a conspicuous step below a cast that is really struggling by and large. In part because I think she is trying and no one really is in this movie other than Bernson.
Yeah, there is a flop sweat element to her character, or to her performance.
It's a very bug-eyed kind of performance in a way that feels strained to me. But she does get far and away the most protracted death sequence that involves multiple of the tooth gore effects. So
yeah, very, very much.
So make of that what we will.
Yeah, so I guess thanks to the dentist too. But yeah, we haven't really talked about Jamie, but there's nothing to say about this woman.
There's nothing to say. She
makes lamps.
Sure, I don't think I even picked up on that. I maybe just saw her by a lamp and was more interested in staring at the lamp than her. Who can say?
Well, but he breaks a lamp, and she's like, "Oh, it's okay. I'll make a new one." And he's like, "You make lamps?" And she's like, "Yes." And that's kind of the last we hear of that.
Okay, I didn't clock that conversation, but as you point out, when Jamie is on screen, it becomes powerfully difficult to keep one's full attention on the dentist too.
Yeah, she is a gaping void. You'd think that Robbie would have moved on in the many years that he keeps proposing to her and she rejects him. But I mean, black holes do have a gravitational pull, and he got close enough. Yeah, I don't know. This movie is so flat, other than the stuff that's working, which is on these kind of isolated islands of scenes that are kind of okay.
And no, I mean, Bernson is certainly good. And when it is focused on him, it gets some good stuff in there to accentuate the positive a little bit. I do think the scenes where he is having his freak outs in the shower, which involves using a blade to cut deep gashes in his arm.
Yeah.
And the camera just kind of lovingly caresses his bloody arm with the stage blood and the water mixing together. Those scenes worked for me, even though I don't know if the idea of the dentist mutilating himself to put his homicidal tendencies someplace, that's a strange plot point, as we've already kind of landed on. The dentist too seems weirdly convinced that we want the dentist to not kill people.
Yeah.
But just like as visual imagery and as Corbin Burnson's kind of animal bellowing as he's doing this, I think those scenes they had an impact, even though, as you kind of pointed out, they are islands.
Yeah, and I agree top to bottom with what you're saying, in that the scenes where he is mutilating himself are effective because of his performance, but it makes no sense. It doesn't work with what they're trying to do. It's kind of like that thing where every time a superhero franchise lasts long enough, they're like, what if the hero lost his powers in this one and needed to deal with not having powers? And I'm like, that's called being a person, and that happens in a lot of movies. I'm here to watch Spider-Man 3. I want to watch him fly around on webs. It's, but so I don't like the hobbling of this character in that way. Yeah.
Especially because it doesn't have the juice, right? Like it's not going to be a character study. I mean, Corbin Burnson's not a bad actor, but it's not a psychologically deep film. It is about a killer dentist who gets sexually obsessed and murders people because of it. Like it is not merely a betrayal of our expectations. It is a betrayal in favor of something the filmmaking team does not have the toolkit to do.
No, very, very, very much not. It's so... I'm so annoyed thinking about this movie. And again, it was fine. It is an okay movie. But just thinking about the things it could have been, it's one of those movies where the thing it could have been is very visible. Even on screen, you're like, oh, they could have done this. They could have had this. Like, they had the wherewithal to make a better movie, and they just didn't. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes it so frustrating.
Like if they had literally, I mean, I joked at the start that it's a carbon copy of The Dentist. If it was just a carbon copy of The Dentist, I think it would have been more satisfying.
Yeah, and they add so much, at least in terms of the original Dentist had 2 locations. It had the house and it had the dentist's office. And this one has like 4 or 5, and it doesn't do anything with them. It has a restaurant, it has the bank, it has all this stuff, and nothing happens there. Mm-hmm. It would have been cheaper and easier to recreate the kind of like almost theatrical farce vibe of the dentist's office sequences of the original movie. It just feels like they're actively wasting my time with this movie.
it's weird because by 1998, the slasher sequel has been solved. Like, we have, at this point, 9 Friday the 13th. It's just like, okay, who is the new group of people who are going to wander into the dentist's office and die in slight variations on the way we've already seen people die?
Yeah, it's not that hard.
I don't know. It's not that hard. And yet, this movie, it really comes down to that extremely cumbersome opening third or half. I wasn't really timing it at that point. But the place where it is establishing, well, he escaped. Well, he killed the old dentist. Well, he went to the bank and is defrauding the bank. The amount of bank material in this film is just profoundly excessive. Like, he goes to the bank and he gets the money for a loan. That's good. We could have done that in a cut. We don't even need to have that be a scene.
Yeah, it could be a montage of him, like, getting money, looking at his fake passport, setting up a dental practice, perhaps. Like, you know, we didn't need all of the stuff. I mean, the dentist that he supplants, honestly, deserved what he got. So basically, Corbin Bernsen starts acting like a weirdo because he needs to get his cap replaced. So he goes into the dentist in town, and he does not approve of the dentist and makes that very clear. But he also puts on a dental coat and starts like fucking around with the mouth of an old lady who's waiting for the dentist to come in next door.
Which I feel like is the movie's nod to the part of the audience that is getting bored waiting for him to go crazy.
Yeah, perhaps. It's very funny that Wendy Roby continues working for him after witnessing that moment. But in this scene, he's supposed to be like, oh, well, in my practice in the city, I would have done it this way. Like that kind of annoying, like, doctors are bad patients thing. But one of the things that he does is ask the dentist to wear gloves. And the dentist scoffs at this. And I'm just like, what does this guy do on a daily basis? Like, I would not go to this dentist.
The germ theory of infection has not yet been learned in Paradise, Missouri.
No, I suppose not. It hasn't spread far enough. Yeah. Oh, also, I mean, I guess this town does operate in a way that I don't fully understand. Like, there is a sequence where Jamie is home early, and the dentist is like, "Oh, why are you home early?" And she's like, "Oh, I wasn't feeling well. I have a toothache." And I'm like, "Girl, this is America. You don't go home from work for a toothache. What are you talking about?"
Right. Well, it's, you know, going back to the Lifetime vibe, I haven't seen a bunch of those Lifetime movies, as we have discussed in the past, but it is my understanding that those are all about, there's a slice of, like, lifestyle porn. There's, like, in these small towns, things are calmer, things are nicer, the shops are quaint, the this, the that, the other thing. This movie, like, it wants to be set in that kind of small town where everybody knows everybody else's business. But because the small town seems to consist solely of interiors of professional spaces.
Yeah, and people who work at the bank.
And people who work at the bank. It does not have any kind of identity. Like, it doesn't feel like a place. It feels like a bunch of sets connected by causeways or something.
Yeah, which is weird because I think I started to mention this and maybe interrupted myself, but this was shot in Monrovia, California. It did have a consistent single place that they were shooting in that could have played a small town quite well, but just doesn't. None of it coheres. You don't get a sense of what is the vibe of this place. And part of it is that it's just gross California suburban sprawl.
Sure.
Culture desert. But the other thing is just that they don't try. And
they don't try. And, like, it's weird because, like, the whole cast knows everybody in the cast, but I don't feel like any of them have their personalities. Like, they don't have their relationships with each other defined. They're all defined in terms of how they are interfering with the dentist.
Yeah.
Other than kind of the Robbie Jamie thing, and even that really does feel like it's meant to set up Robbie as a fake sexual threat. And
yes.
I don't feel that they have a history together. I don't feel they've known each other since they were in third grade.
Oh, I completely agree. And I'm sorry, Robbie needs to be hotter for this to work.
Robbie needs to be hotter. Robbie needs to be an actual threat and not an annoying little floppy-haired 90s guy.
Yeah, he's just this, like, 90s schlub. He seems, again, like a perfectly nice guy. And he's not an ugly person. It's just, like, he's just not a potent sexual threat in the way the movie needs him to be.
And I mean, maybe the movie's game is meant to be that's how far gone the dentist is, that he can't even recognize the situation for what it is, but it's still, like, I don't know. That again, I think that needs a defter directorial hand than Brian Yuzna. All the love in the world to Brian Yuzna.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, no one's ever accused him of being a character director.
Because he's not a subtle filmmaker. That's not
Yeah.
his thing. That's not what I asked him to be.
No, and he does not liven up. He does not wake up enough during this movie. He does. He gets up. He gets up and goes to work on several days, on several moments of this movie, but just not quite enough.
And I do feel, and maybe this is what you're pointing at, maybe not. I feel the gore scenes are quite good.
Yes.
And I feel like everything that's not the gore scene is good strictly as a function of Corbin Burnson.
Yeah, I don't think there is something that is a non-dentist torture scene that is good that is not directly attached to Corbin Burnson.
I completely concur.
Like, not a single thing. Like, those weird scenes where his mutilated wife is interacting with that private eye, those are all terrible and strange.
Those do not work. Bringing back the mutilated wife was a mistake.
Enormous mistake.
It's meant to be this, like, ticking... We haven't even talked about it. It's meant to be this, like, ticking clock thing where, like, is she getting closer? She's about to figure out where he went, and she's going to swoop in and stop him. And, like, it's not playing at all. There needs to be more of it in the film if they want it to be kind of a constant subplot. But, like, I don't want it to be more of the film because every time it happens, it deadens the movie. And, like, it's a movie. If you're going to already retcon parts of the ending, give her back her tongue. Let her talk. Yeah. I mean, I get that the whole point is that she's been mutilated, but, like, it drags the movie down so much that she can't communicate in speech.
Yeah, or at least, like, have her learn sign language, or, like, have her be able to. And she it seems that she has this pad that she writes things down on, but we don't even see her do that.
Right.
She's just always standing there, like, I'm listening to a message that the private eye is leaving, or I'm staring at him and just kind of willing him to understand what I'm trying to communicate. I want to be done talking about this movie. Do we have anything else to say before we just wrap up?
I have nothing else to say before we just wrap up.
Okay, I'm really glad. I'm double checking. No, I got through what I wanted to say. Just the more I talk, the more I get mad about The Dentist 2, and I don't want to be in this place because, again, I thought it was fine.
I think it's fine. I'm not mad at it, even though I gave it a lower star rating on Letterboxd. I get the weird feeling that I liked it more than you did. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that might be true. I don't know. I feel like you were a 5. You're a 5 out of 10, leaning 6, and I gave it a 6 out of courtesy instead of a 5. Okay. Because I was feeling a 5, but I was like, well, that part's good, and I like Corbin Burnson, and, like, these things are working enough that I was like, I'll push it to 6. I think it deserves it.
I think I gave it a 5 because it was clearly worse than The Dentist 1, which I gave a 6 to.
Got it.
And I don't feel bad about giving The Dentist 1 a 6, but I would feel bad about giving The Dentist 2 the same score, and I think that's really what it came down to.
Yes, okay, that makes perfect sense, and I had a lot more wiggle room because I gave The Dentist an 8. I loved The Dentist.
I will say, even having not probably been as mad at it as you are, I don't think I've seen a Brian Yuzna film I am less likely to revisit.
Ooh, yeah, and again, that includes Silent Night, Deadly Night 4, which is a tough watch.
It's a tough watch, but it is certainly not the least appealing of the Silent Night, Deadly Nights.
Oh, I would certainly never want to be misconstrued as saying that. But yeah, we can wrap up this episode. Next on the podcast, you'll hearing me again. We're doing the February 2026 preview. Me and a couple guests you will be familiar with. You can find more episodes of this show and others at alternateending.com. Please join the Patreon. If you are a Patreon member at the $5 level or above, you can participate in our trivia night. We're doing another movie trivia. It takes place over the course of about an hour. This one's happening on January 31st. That is a Saturday. It's happening at 8 p.m. Eastern.
8 p.m. Eastern sounds correct.
Yeah, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And I hope you can extrapolate all the other time zones from that because I'm not going to do it. But yeah, if you're at the $5 level or above, I'll be hosting several rounds of horror trivia. No, not horror trivia, just movie trivia. Sorry.
But one of them will surely be horror trivia because you are you.
I am me. There's at least one horror-related question, but I tried to cover a lot of different genres and topics. It's very fun. In 3 of the rounds, we implemented a thing where the people who have the least points at the end get to recommend a round theme for me. So we have 3 rounds donated by the Losers Club from last time, which I need a better term for. But we love them. We love everyone who plays, and that's why I want to give them another shot at something that is more their area of expertise this time around. So come out for that, and thank you so much. Bye!
She hates